Welcome, everyone. We have missed you all. Today, we have a big show planned. Today, we're catching up on huge hobby updates from Kieran and I. Yes, we've both been painting, we've both been busy on the hobby desk. Kieran actually has a big heresy update for us as he has chosen a new force and gives us a sneak peek to what he's working on. And we're also talking big news from Games Workshop. That's right. The Mk4 plastics are here. They've been revealed. They have arrived, and we're here to share our reaction with you. So come on, let's get on with the show. Yeah, Kiz, what's up, brother?
Back again, bro. Good to be back.
Oh man, I know, and it's regular programming for once. The
Yeah.
modalities, we're not talking about them anymore. We're done. Everyone, go play, enjoy, give us the feedback. It's been terrific so far.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
it
good.
is regular programming here on Power Fist. Kiza, how have you been? What's been happening? Tell us.
Been really good, bro. Since we last did a hobby update, I've done a lot of hobby, but the last couple of weeks have been slow because I've been getting ready to start work on a new hobby space, which has just kind of gone underway in the last couple of days. So I'm really looking forward to getting into my nice new space, setting it up, getting some display cabinets for my collections up there, getting a proper booth up for the airbrush, and I'll have a nice new space to record in as well. So happy days.
Lush. It's going to be amazing. You're going
Yeah.
to have a setup just as good as mine now. A pure
Oh,
hobby den. It's going to be
I don't
Nirvana.
know if I'll have a sauna and a full like personal gym in there, but yeah, it should be pretty nice.
Well, actually, I should crank it up because it is freezing cold today.
Mm.
I was standing on the top of the building today at work, and you know how windy it was, and it felt like it was 4 degrees all day. I'm cold to my bones. It's over now. We're here to talk about heresy.
Yeah, and you've been doing a bit of hobby recently as well, crushing things out. So Dark Elves,
Well, I
a
have
few other things.
yeah, I haven't it feels like I haven't shared a hobby update on the channel in ages.
Mm.
So maybe I should just share some pics. What do you think?
Please get into it.
All right, all right, all right. So first cab off the rank. I can't believe I haven't shown this because it feels like it's been painted forever. But I finished probably what is my most favorite Warhammer Fantasy model, and that's the Bolt Thrower, the Reaper Bolt Thrower. For me, it just holds a special place in my heart. Even though this model is 25 years old now, it still feels
Yeah, at
like
least,
it
yeah.
belongs. It still feels like it belongs in Warhammer.
Hmm.
And just taking the time to paint the two crewmen and not have to batch paint a whole unit of guys for once. It just it was really enjoyable, not only for the nostalgic aspect, but just because it felt like I could take my time and just enjoy the process for once.
Mm.
And, even though, they're not gonna win any awards or anything like that, they're part of my army. It just felt like, um, there was no weight of expectation or no pressure to get a unit finished or anything like that. It was just 3 separate models,
Hmm.
and I think it came up great.
Yeah, you say it's not going to win any awards, but you've done such a fantastic job. And even though I'm a massive High Elf fanboy, I also absolutely adore this model. So nice, like really kind of sleek design. Such a massive upgrade on the previous model, and like
Mm,
I just love the metal areas that you've done on the bolt thrower itself, and then the silk kind of face scarves that you've done on the crew. The way you've painted them, just that kind of really kind of dominant, kind of bright and rich kind of highlight makes it look like some kind of fancy silk that you could imagine a dark elf wearing. So yeah, you've absolutely knocked it out of the park with these guys, and they
Yeah,
were pretty
cheers. I'm happy
handy.
with it.
They've already taken a nasty toll on my silver helm in the one game we
Yeah,
played.
yeah,
Got a
exactly right.
nice little flank shot. Yeah,
That moment's gonna live rent free in your mind, I can tell.
good times. Yeah,
The trauma.
yeah,
Yeah, so I've been busy on that. I also finished a few more crossbowmen as well,
yeah.
including this unit champion that I painted up for a tutorial, and that's accessible over on our Patreon at the moment.
Mhm.
So it was good to add a few more line infantry and core models to the force as well.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest hobby update I can share, and to be honest, this unit was quite a roadblock for some time, is the unit of executioners that I've recently finished. Now, it felt like I was just painting this army forever, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, I stopped and I started, and then I got discouraged by the models. And it wasn't until we actually played our game, Kieran, that I gave them a second chance. Uh, because they did perform quite well in the game, but, I think I made the commitment to myself in that moment of, "You know what? Just grow a pair and finish the fucking unit." So I went home and I didn't stop painting until they were finished, and I'm glad with how they turned out. I think, um I think they look unique enough to stand out from, the regular core units, and they're denoted
Mm,
as a sort of special type of unit when they sit amongst the rest of the rank and file of the force,
yeah.
which is good. But I have to say that like these models again, they're 25 years old. They're full of character, and I think a lot of people agree unanimously that the sixth edition period of not only Dark Elves, but Warhammer Fantasy in general, probably bared the best fruit when it came to characterful sculpts and really capturing the essence of a lot of the armies during that time.
Yeah.
And I have a really special place in my heart for these models. And I remember speaking
Hmm.
to you when I was building them. I was
Mm,
like, "Oh, these, even just building them were a nightmare. Yes, they're only two pieces. However, because they're old metal models and they're 25 years old, the fidelity of the models just isn't up to scratch with this day and age, right?
yeah.
Inches all over them.
Yeah.
There's dimples in the
Hmm.
casting. Um, there's mold lines in awkward places. So I was attacking these models one by one with a tiny little file, with a tiny little piece of sandpaper in order to get the armor paneling nice and smooth because your end result is determined by your level of preparation in
Yeah.
nearly every model, right, that you make. So in order to get the best results, I had to have the best prep on these
Hmm.
guys. And by the end, I was just covered in like metal model computer filings. They were everywhere. They were on my fingers, on my pen. They were all over my hobby desk.
Mm,
And by that stage, we put a dozen hours into the unit just cleaning them up.
yeah. Yeah.
So that was the first sign that I knew this unit was going to be an absolute ball breaker. And when I sort of got around to painting the first couple of stages on them, again, you being my hobby soundboard, I was like, I don't know if I like painting these models. I don't know if I can do it. But in the end, look, I'm glad I stuck with it, and I think the results are really nice. And I think I've fallen in love with the models again,
Hmm.
as silly or romantic as that sounds. I've got 8 more to add, including the full command for our next fantasy meetup,
Yeah.
which is a couple of months away yet. So I'll definitely come back to these guys and add a few more. I'm looking to do the command actually, so that's pretty exciting. But that's the bulk of hobby updates from me.
Oh man, yeah. These executioners, I think first time I saw them in person was when I was, I think, 12 or 13, and one of my mates at school had, I think, maybe just a single blister pack of 3 of them, and fuck, ever since then, I've absolutely loved them. Like that 6th edition aesthetic, like you said, is so good. But a lot of the models from that time have aged in, the proportions of the model and, the big funky hands and that kind of thing. But I think these guys have probably aged the best of just about any of those kind of elf kits from that kind of era. Like I love the Blackguard as well, but they are kind of slightly a little bit kind of funky compared to these guys. I think it's just the design, the way these guys are done. Just yeah, absolute pure class, and I'm so happy to see these guys painted up. Like, love the medals again that you've done on them. It's exactly the same scheme and techniques as the core infantry, but just that that extra kind of dominance of that metallic kind of color is just sets them ahead, apart as that elite unit without kind of distracting and taking away from that overall kind of cohesive look for the army. So yeah, I'm super. It was hard work, and like I'm so glad you got through it, and I can completely sympathize. I've spent so long cleaning up Phoenix Guard, old metal Phoenix Guard from the same era. I'm working on some old metal Dragon Princes at the moment from the same era, and all of those kind of issues, like your hands just get completely stained by like shavings and filings from those old pewter models. But I think it's absolutely worth it, and I can't wait to see you do the rest of this unit. I think you've got another 8 to do, and I'm looking forward to seeing the command squad done as well. Should be really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I've got that little bit of a deadline, like I said, so I'm going to be checking a few more boxes out of the Dark Elves. But Kieran, I'm just excited for hobby in general. Maybe we'll have a
Yeah,
chance to talk about some more hobby stuff at the end of the episode.
yeah,
But I'm excited. I'm excited for the old world. I'm excited
yeah,
for my salamanders. I'm excited for a new heresy project. I'm excited
yeah.
for the new slow grow in the new year with the hobby boyfriends.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think I've had this much excitement over multiple factions, over multiple systems, anytime in my hobby career, which has
Mm,
spanned nearly 25 years now.
yeah,
So to me, it feels like new ground a little bit, and I'm not sure how to attack it
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Because I don't want to spread
We all know
myself
you
too
for your
thin.
hobby discipline. Yeah,
Yeah,
sticking
that's
to
right.
one
I
project
need
at
to
a time.
I need to stick to
Everything's
what I know.
timelined and planned. Yeah, and now you're being drawn in different directions. It's different.
Yeah. So yeah, it is going to be different. Um, from this point to the end of the year is going to feel a little bit different for me hobby wise, but you know, I'm going to stick to the mantra that I've set out at the start of the year, and that is finished, not perfect. So we'll see how things go in the future.
Yeah, hell yeah, awesome.
What about you, bro? Show us what you've been working on lately.
I've done a few things since we last did a hobby update, but probably for the high elves, the most exciting thing I've done and the thing that I'm the most proud of um, is this mage on dragon. Really, really happy with how it turned out. I did a
Sick.
little bit of conversion work on the dragon, kind of
Mm,
reposed him a little bit, and for example, the reins on the dragon there, the halter, the bridle, I really, really trimmed them down because on the kind of standard model, they're so massive and bulky and they just look a bit ridiculous. So I trimmed them right down to make them look a little bit sleeker, a little bit more elegant, kind of fit the aesthetic a little bit better. And then, yeah, it's just such a great canvas to really kind of show off that blue and white that is such an important part of the color scheme for the army. It's a huge model, but it perfectly blends in like theme wise, kind of aesthetically with the rest of the force. So I was super super happy with how that turned out. And I also
It
done a
does.
little bit of
It looks great. It looks great. Can I just interject for one point?
yeah.
Now, the subtle repose is important because
Yeah.
this model out of the box, I hate. And hate's a strong word because out of the box, this model looks like a paper plane, like an aeroplane.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've just, yeah, tilted the pose a little bit, um, it looks like it's moving more natural.
Yeah, I did a few
Doesn't look so
things like,
rigid and static.
yeah, the wings are bent. I've added a bit of a curve to the tail and the neck. I shortened the neck a little bit because I felt it was too long. I
Mm,
I shortened the tongue by almost a third or a half. Like it was huge before. I cut that right down. I've
Like Gene Simmons tongue, yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. The kiss dragon, and I added the ears and the horns to the head, which are usually kind of it's either or. I wanted to
Yeah.
have both in there because that's kind of the classic look for the high elf dragons. So yeah, I did a few quite subtle changes, but I think it really kind of uh, it's not like updating the model per se, but it looks much
No,
better, I think.
all the 1%ers add up. They really do.
Yeah, yeah, they really do, especially on such a large model as well. Like if you compare it to the stock model, they are more obvious than they would be on a smaller model. So really, really happy with how
Yeah.
that one turned out.
Yeah, it's great.
I've also done a little bit of Heresy as well, and the most recent,
Gimme.
Heresy character I completed was
Oosh.
this guy, and I'm super super happy with this. This is Zahariel of the Dark Angels. He's the Dark Angel librarian character from all of the Black Library novels. Um, I based the model on the Issa Terrorist, and I did quite a bit of gap filling and sculpting to give him that fully enclosed robe vibe. Like his front leg there is usually exposed. The chest is different. I also added the gorget area around the neck. And
Ah.
then, of course, added some Dark Angel wings to the shoulder plates and gave him a Dark Angel sword. So, yeah, super, super happy with how this guy turned out. This guy was a long time in the process as far as like trying to get the concept figured out in my head. I just couldn't figure out how to, what to use for the base for this model and just how to get it to work. And yeah, when I finally settled on the esoterist and then put in the time to do the sculpting, I was super super chuffed with how he turned out in the end.
Again, it's the 1%ers that add up, right? Even
Yeah.
just covering the leg at the front and
Hmm.
then adding the little gorget, adding the robes across the chest as well. Did you do
Yep.
that?
Yep. Yeah, and the like the purity seals, I sculpted those on as well, like just little little bits of detail. I based him a bit
Yeah, it's
on
great.
the card game art. I think it's the card game art. Um, I took some artistic license, of course, as well, but it's based loosely on that. So I wanted to kind of try and match that,
It
and
really
just capture
reminds
that
me
vibe.
of the third edition Dark Angel veteran bodies. You know how they
Mm,
were robed and hooded?
yep,
Like
yep.
they were just so mint for the time.
Mm. I've still got some of those in my bits box, and I was thinking about using them, but I was like, I need to use something a little bit more modern to
Yeah.
try and capture that vibe. But that's the exact kind of aesthetic and kind of vibe I was going for, just with a little bit of a heresy kind of flair to it. So yeah,
Yeah,
super super
you
chuffed with how he turned
stuck the
out.
landing. Stuck the landing on that one, Kizza. Good work.
Cheers, bro.
All right. Now, you've also got some big news.
Mm.
You've been deliberating and deliberating and deliberating on this mystery new project of what's it going to be. I really
Yeah.
like Sons of Horus, but the World Eaters scheme speaks to me. Maybe I should dabble in some World Eaters, but I love EC so much. I can't ever let them go or get away from them. I don't know what to do. And then you'll go out left field and flirt with some other idea. But
Mm.
have you locked down something new? Let us all know. And if you have, what is it?
I have. I've decided on a new project and I've started working on it. I've written a list and I've painted the first 2 models for it. I'm going to do an ISFAN 3, an ISFAN 3 Loyalist force themed around the survivors of the Preceptor's Palace. So there are no Death Guard at this stage, but perhaps if I expand the force, I might add some Death Guard in there. But it's based, predominantly on the Emperor's Children and the Sons of Horus. But as as they say, as it says in the Black Library novel, there's also a few confused and lost-looking world eaters in there, just to add a little bit of flavor there too. So that's the project. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something quite
Mm.
different to other armies that I'm doing, like I've done before. It's a Shattered Legions list with Black Shield allies, so it's very off the wall for what I would usually do to kind of
That's completely not kosher for you.
and it's
And I
definitely
know
not
you're a
Kizari.
man, you're a very traditionalist when it comes to heresy. This is the most off the wall thing I've ever seen you do. It's unhinged for your character.
It is, and as far as list building is concerned, the only consideration was trying to fit in as many named characters from Black Book One Betrayal and the Heresy novels. There was almost like there was no thought given essentially to how it's going to perform in game. So we'll see how it goes. I think
Mm.
it does have ways of scoring points with the Black Shield rule, but that's been toned down massively since it was released. And the army has no line, no vanguard, so we'll see how it goes. But as a hobby project, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it'll look really cool. I'm thinking I'll have probably nameplates for the whole army.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring up the army list here just so I can talk through it a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe also explain your inspirations behind wanting to run the combination of Shattered Legions as well as Black Shield. So walk
yes,
us through
yeah.
that as well. So what was your reasoning behind it?
So I was inspired by the Black Shield's Alone and Forgotten um, rule that allowed you to take, an army of centurions, basic centurions. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, when it first came out, it was pretty abusive, and everyone knew that. Everyone, as soon as they read the rules, they knew that it was completely broken. But it has since been adjusted and fixed and toned down quite a lot. So I feel comfortable using it now. And I haven't combined it or paired it with anything that's insane. So I'm happy to use it. The reason I've included the Shattered Legions is so that I could include named characters, because I can't include any of the named characters that I would like to in a this Black Shields detachment. So I wanted to have Loken in there. I wanted to have Saul Tarvitz in there, and I wouldn't have been able to have them in the force if it was a pure Black Shields force. I
Yeah,
also
right.
wouldn't have been able to have the Dreadnoughts in there for Rylanor and Gratask, the Sons of Horus Dreadnought, if it was purely the Alone and Forgotten Black Shields, because the only models they can take, I think, are the Centurions. So I wanted a little bit of freedom in there to take those models. And also, because the Black Shield detachment limits you to basic Centurions, you can't take consoles of any type. I wanted to have a little bit more flavor in there for kind of some of the more special characters that are kind of represented by Legion champions or other models. So that was the basic thinking behind it. So it's a combination of Black Shields and Shattered Legions, but it's an army of only kind of command choices and 2 dreadnoughts. So yeah, it should be a bit of fun, and it's 2,000 points on the nose.
All right, run us through it.
And yeah, I'll run you through it. So the Shattered Legions for the primary Crusade detachment, I've got Loken as my high command. I've got Saul Tarvitz in command. Some reason he's I don't know, like so much more expensive than Loken, and he's
Yeah.
definitely not better for some reason. I've got Tarek Targadon, of course, the one of the everyone's favorites from the first 3 books. He's represented by as a Legion champion with melter bombs, and then I've got Lieutenant Abdamon. He is an Emperor's Children character, Loyalist, that was on Isfahan 3. He is in one of the Emperor's Children exemplary battles, and he, I've taken notes down from all of these characters whenever they're kind of mentioned and the war gear they use and their appearance. So I'll be trying to, stick as closely as I can to that in how I build these units. And he's going to be an interesting one. He's like, he's an Emperor's Children lieutenant commander, so he's a fancy dude, and he absolutely loves fighting in challenges. And he has a kind of a penchant for using Xenos weapons. So I'm considering maybe giving him
Oh yeah,
some Xenos weapons just to make him stand out a little bit. So that's the primary
sick.
Crusade detachment. Loken has allowed me to take an Apex detachment, which is an officer command one, and that's just so I can include more, more command units. I've got
Mm.
Sergeant Catheron in there. He is the sergeant of the Sunkiller unit that
Oh,
Soltarvis is
so
hanging out
sick.
with at the end when the DZ-Ray, the massive Titan, comes down and annihilates them all. So he's, just an Armistos with a las cannon, no other upgrades. And then I've got Solomon Demeter there, who was the captain of the Emperor's Children's Second Company. He's kind of the main protagonist of the Fulgrim novel, and he is a Legion champion. I've given him a combi melter because I had some points spare and melter bombs. And then the last two detachments for this Shattered Legions force are two dreadnoughts. One, of course, to represent ancient Rylanor. So it's a dreadnought, Contemptor dreadnought, with a Carrier's assault cannon and a heavy flamer in the power fist. Unfortunately, with Shattered Legions, you can't take Legion specific units. So I wasn't actually able to take Rylanor himself, but his third edition rules are so shit that I'm not missing out on anything by just taking a regular dreadnought, and it's probably more points efficient anyway. So he's got exactly the same war gear as
Yes.
Rylanor, so nothing lost there. And
Yep.
then finally, I've got Gratask, who is a Sons of Horus contemptor. He is a color plate in Book One Betrayal. I've got an image of that later. I'll bring it up. But he has a Gravis heavy bolt cannon, you'll be happy to hear, and a Gravis power
Beautiful,
fist. So both my
tasteful choice.
contemptors have got very tasteful, underpowered weaponry. So we'll see how they go. They're going to look cool. Not sure
Yep.
how much they're going to do on the battlefield. And then the Black Shields allied detachment with Alone and Forgotten. I've got Lieutenant Chloros Endel. He's a Centurion. He's a Sons of Horus character, again from Black Book 1. He's another color plate. I've given him a Thunderhammer, a Vexilla, Melter Bombs, and he is the prime Paragon of Battle because he's a lieutenant and he's kind of the highest ranking of these Black Shield characters I have. I've then got Sergeant Chimondial. He is like another character named in, I think it was maybe the card game in Collected Visions
Oh
or
yeah.
some.
Yep.
He's mentioned in a few different ones. He was another loyalist at the Preceptor's Palace. He leads a command, an assault squad. So I've given him a jump pack and some lightning claws. And then I've got Apothecary Abdul Commendius. He's in Emperor's Children as well. He's another color plate from the Black Book. I've got Apothecary Vadin. He is a Sons of Horus apothecary mentioned in Galaxy in Flames, I think it is. He hangs out with Loken and Nero Vipus, who is the next character. I think Vipus dies fairly early on during Isfahan 3, but I wanted to include him because he's a fan favorite and he's a cool dude. He
And he's
has
got a
two-handed.
sick name.
Yeah, he does. He's got a sick name. He's just a Centurion. He has a two-handed chainsword in the fluff, but that's not an option that Centurions can take. So I've given him a power maul that I will model up as his big
Yeah, that makes
two-handed
sense.
chainsword.
Yeah, sick.
He's a sergeant, so I've given him a Vexilla. I'll probably model a back banner or something cool on him to show that he's a sergeant. And then I've got Karad Hoyen, who is a Centurion with a jump pack and a power axe. He is a World Eater, the first World Eater we've got in here. He
Mm.
is another color plate. a really nice color plate in Black Book 1 Betrayal as well. He's not mentioned in any novels or anywhere else. He's just a single color plate, so he'll be in there. And then I've got a single auxiliary detachment for this allied detachment. I've got Mk4, who is another World Eater. He's a Centurion. He's just got a chain axe and melter bombs. And then I've got Shadran Dar, who is a special character from first edition. I think he might have had second edition rules. He doesn't anymore, I don't think. But he's just essentially a World Eater Centurion with a chain axe, melter bombs. And he used to have a special rule. I think he got bonuses after he'd killed people because he was a kind of a head taker and he could, scare people. So I've given him a Vexilla, and I'll probably have him covered in, the heads of traitors, or holding up, a severed traitor head of some sort to represent his.
He's a savage.
He's a savage. So as you can see, heaps of characters. Everyone's a named character. There aren't too many kind of optimized choices, but I think it's going to look really, really cool. A lot of these characters have, some sort of description at least, either in the black books or in the novels. So I'll be trying to base my conversions and models around those descriptions. But a few of them are a little bit more freeform, like Sergeant Chimondial doesn't really have too much information. So, he's just going to be an Emperor's Children's sergeant. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. With the actual name characters that we have, such as Loken and Tarvitz, I think with Tarvitz, I'll be using his actual model, but I might do a bit of conversion work with it. I'm keen to make the characters look quite beaten up, so the cloaks they have will be very tattered. Loken, I'll do a conversion for him. I'm thinking I'll probably use the Tybolt Ma model for him because it's such a fantastic model. I really love it. And the old Loken model is, has aged quite a lot, even though it's a nice sculpt. It is quite a bit smaller and spindlier than the newer models. So I'll do an updated version for him. But yeah, really, really looking forward to doing these guys up. And it's, it's a easy project. It's like 16 models, including the 2 dreadnoughts. So every model is a character. Looking forward to putting plenty of conversion work into them. And the basing as well. I'm keen to do something special with the basing. I want to have plenty of corpses on the bases, plenty of skeletons kind of to represent the civilian population that's been virus bombed, as well as, some Astartes bodies as well. I want it to be clear that these guys are, the last survivors of, a completely shattered city, clinging on by their fingernails. So yeah, I'm really keen to get into this.
Sounds amazing. It sounds amazing.
Maybe we can. Yeah, cheers.
Go on.
No, you go.
I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
So, like you've already mentioned, it's going to be very exciting to create all these different characters.
Yeah.
Now, because you've already got established narrative for them, or they have their own individual color plate, that gives you parameters to work within when it comes to your modeling and conversion choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that having parameters like that to work within breeds your creativity on something like this, or do you think that it might put a lid on it slightly?
That's a great question. I think it probably does put a lid in it, but I'm always been a big fan of trying to represent things the way I believe that they kind of should be model wise. Like I don't, I do some things that are off the wall a little bit, but I try to make models and units that I think would be typical of what I'm trying to represent, whichever legion it is, whatever kind of character it is. So I like having that kind of structure and direction. And of course, I'll add my own, twist to the models through posing and through the paint job and the basing and all that kind of thing. But I like having, the guidance. And that's why I've been going, trawling through all the wikis, going back through all my novels, going through the black books, just to try and find, what kind of war gear did each character have? What mark of armor did they have? Did they have any specific heraldry? What do they look like? All of those kind of things. Like, Nero Vipus has an augmetic hand, so he's definitely going to have an augmetic hand when I sculpt that. We all know like what Loken and Soltavits look like. We know the battle honors that ancient Rylanor has on his sarcophagus, so I've painted those on there. So yeah, I love finding those things, and I don't see it as a restriction. I see it as kind of honoring the fluff and trying to do
Mm,
justice to these characters that we all love and know, and trying to bring them to life. And you want to make something that's instantly recognizable, so people will see it and they'll know who
yeah.
it is and they'll know where they're from. And I find that liberating in a way, because it takes some kind of choices out of your hands, but it allows you to kind of really focus in on doing a fantastic job on achieving those goals and matching that kind of image. And yeah, it can it gives you something to live up to, which I like to kind of I like as a part of my hobby. Yeah,
Yes, that's a good wholesome answer, Kieran. I like it.
yeah,
So from a gaming perspective, right?
yeah,
We're hearing in the heresy community now, like a little bit of discourse around play what you want to play for the fun,
yeah,
not play the game for necessarily trying to compete
yeah,
or feeling obligated to take line 2 units just to keep up with your opponent at scoring.
yeah.
And within this discourse, we're starting to see maybe new styles of play or new ways to kind of approach army list writing, which is
Hmm.
really nothing new for Horus Heresy in general, but it's new for third edition, right?
Yeah,
Because right now we've kind of, I mean, everyone's probably heard about this, but gamers playing third edition have kind of been in a struggle for the last 12 months of getting Vanguard units to work the way they should, um, having the complete supremacy of line 2 units and their transports just not only rule the game, but ruin the game in some aspect.
hmm.
And so I guess my question to you is, do you think that this style of list aligns to the new philosophies coming through with third edition? Do they align with the current discourse?
I suppose it is a very
Or are
different
you
list
just
to.
doing your own thing? You're just like, you know what, fuck everyone else, fuck the noise. I'm just doing me.
I was conscious that if I'm going to make a Shattered Legions list, and a list that includes Alone and Forgotten Black Shields, that someone looking from the outside could see those as an attempt to game the system in some way, because the history of Black Shields has been, unfortunately, sorry, of Shattered Legions has been that they have been open to abuse in certain ways. Like in first edition, taking, I think it was Imperial Fists and Ultramarines together was really good, because essentially you would end up with Stone Gauntlet Suzerain, for example,
Yeah.
which is absolutely mental. Um, and then Black Shields, when these guys were first released, the PDF rules, Alone and Forgotten, it was absolutely mental. They could rack up, 30 VPs like a turn kind of thing. Like, it was absolutely insane. That has been toned down a lot, but still, I suppose there could be that perception out there. And that is part of the reason why I have made no attempt to optimize the these options in any way, really. I think the only kind of perhaps optimization I've done in this list is give Cloris Endel a Thunderhammer. He isn't described as having any particular war gear in his color plate. So I thought, all right, I'll give him something decent. And then Sergeant Chamondial also doesn't have any war gear described in the black books. So I gave in the novels, sorry. So I gave him 2 lightning claws, which are also a decent option. But I think both of those kind of weapon options suit the characters that they belong to. And one pair of lightning claws and a thunder hammer aren't going to make this list super competitive. So I've definitely I definitely see this project as like a fun project. Um, it's not going to be competitive in any way. Like there are, scoring options in the Shattered Legions. Each of those characters can, of course, take objectives and score objectives, but there's no line, there's no vanguard. I did consider, thinking about adding a Master of Signal to that primary detachment, and then I'd be able to give line or vanguard to a unit. But there's no Master of Signal described in any of the source material on Isfahan
Mm,
3. So there was no kind of justification for including that character in the list. Of course, those novels were written before anyone knew what a Master of Signal was. So, there was no chance that it was ever going to be written into that kind of lore. And, the Black Book doesn't mention Masters of Signal in that scenario either. They would, of course, be there in the fluff. There's, hundreds of thousands of Space Marines on the surface. There would definitely be Masters of Signal, but I wanted to use named characters that are represented somewhere, so I didn't include that. And then with the Black Shields, they can score VPs through issuing and accepting challenges, but they also have the heedless rule, so they can't score objectives at all, and they can't contest objectives either. So it is a very kind of limited list. Some lists might struggle to kill that many characters, but if you have a decent amount of shooting, those characters, most of them have just got a 2+5+. They haven't got many wounds. The Black Shields do have an additional wound each because of the rule that goes with them. But I've got 2 or 3 of them just armed with chain axes. Like it's not, it's absolutely not kind of tuned up. And it is a departure from trying to write a list that is fluffy but also competitive and able to compete on the tabletop. This is
mm.
a hobby project. I look forward to using it. I'm not sure if I'll take it to events because it would feel strange to me having Isfahan survivors fighting on random planet X midway through the Heresy. Um, I'm sure most people wouldn't mind at all and would be happy to play against it, but it would feel kind of strange to me. So this is kind of something that I'd look to play with friends in a kind of garage setting, have a good time, and yeah, it is mostly a hobby project. And I'm not sure if that kind of answers your question at all, but it is a different approach to heresy for sure for me, the way I look at it
Yeah.
and the way I've approached it previously. So I suppose perhaps it is my answer to some of the current issues with the game. It's, I've just taken a completely different route to create something that I will enjoy and that will still give me a lot of joy in the hobby. Um, but it is very different to how I've previously considered the game.
Out of all the things I expected your new army project to be, this is not what I expected. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, obviously it's going to be exciting for you to bring all these
Mhm.
characters and models to life, but it's going to be
Yeah.
very interesting to see how it functions and how it operates on the
Yeah.
table. And when
Yeah.
you're ready, I'm ready for a game. Let's throw down.
Yeah. Salamanders or Thousand Suns
Y-
versus Isfahan Survivors.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Ispan survivors versus Ispan 5 survivors.
Oh yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, Istov. Yeah, no, that we can make that work.
We'll shoehorn it in. All right. Do you have
Yeah,
any
yeah.
models to show us this early on in the project?
Yeah, so that's the concept, that's the idea, and I have painted up a couple of models so far. I'll bring them up now. Let me have a look. Here we go. So
Oh, the
starting
boy
off, maybe
himself.
I'll start at the
Your
start with
boy.
the number one man. But let's start at the start here. So these are a couple of examples of the source material. So we've got the Sons of Horus Lieutenant up there. Um, he's a very, you can tell he's a loyalist. He's a Terran with that nice kind of transverse crest on his helmet. And then the 2 World Eater characters, those 2 characters aren't mentioned anywhere else. They're just purely based on those 2 kind of color plates. There's no description for the weapons that they have, so I've given them chain axes because they're world eaters, right? I think
Yeah.
the sergeant character down the bottom with the jump pack, I've given a power axe, and the other guy who is just a tactical legionary, I'm pretty sure, I've just given a chain axe. And then Apothecary Abdil Commodus down the bottom there, he's the Emperor's Children character. So again, he's just purely a color plate. He's not mentioned anywhere else. And I'll be, modeling and sculpting him up to match. What's the next one? So Gratask, here we go. So you can see the color plate down there.
Yep.
Again, that is the only kind of image and reference we have for this character. So I've tried to make him look as close to the art from the front on angle, but then I've taken a few liberties to add some details, such as the Chthonian gang runes on the legs you can see there. I've combined a couple of different transfers there to try and replicate that knee plate kind of icon. I've added the skulls to the torso with some fine jeweler's chain to try and replicate the art again. This guy was a lot of fun. This was actually the first model I did for the project. Just wanted to see if I could make it look cool. I haven't based him up yet, so he's not fully complete. I was waiting on a few bits from you, and I'm ready to go with those now as soon as I get my hobby space up and running. There he is, the completed model, minus
Yeah,
the
he looks
base, of
tough.
course. Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a strange color scheme, the black and the green, but I think it works nicely. I've gone for some green chipping through the black. I think that kind of ties it together quite nicely. And of course, he's got the big bolt cannon, which is just an absolute Chad move.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Big dick energy right there.
really, really happy with
I
how he's looking.
like you've mentioned, he's really faithful to the artwork or the
Mm,
parameters that have been set out. So I
yeah,
can see what you mean by that now. Like quite literally just one for one.
just about. Yeah, there's some like
Yeah.
wolf freehand on the color plates left shoulder plate, and I was like, nah, there's no way I'm doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't quite go that far, but I've tried to match all the transfers on him. I've tried, obviously I've done the same kind of coloring on the knee plates, the torso, the head, the arms. So yeah, really, really happy with how he turned out. And then of course, the absolute number one,
Good boy.
Chad from Isfahan 3. Rylanor, the Unyielding, the Ancient of Rights, the absolute Chad of the Legion. Um, there is no art for him. There is no color plate. Of course, we have his description from the novels and from the rules. So, he has a power fist with a heavy flamer inside, which I've done. And then he's got his carries assault cannon, which I've added on there. The only kind of description, beyond his war gear that we have of Rylanor is the battle honors that he has on his sarcophagus, being Roma and Thule, which are two kind of unification war honors. You can see them here in the close-ups. I've freehanded Roma and then Thule on the
That
other
looks sick.
side. And then the small kind of laurels underneath there, little ones, I've done, what did I do? Proxima and Leyren, which are two other kind of famous campaigns of the Emperor's Children. I think, Proxima was where the Emperor's Children saved the Emperor and were, gifted the right to wear the Imperial Aquila after that. And Rylanor was at Proxima, so it makes sense that he was there. And then Leyren is where it all went to shit for the Emperor's Children, but Rylanor was also a key part of that. So I've added that to his trophy scroll as well.
How does
But
how does this purple differ from your Emperor's Children army purple? Is it different?
yeah, great question. It is different. It is similar, but it is definitely a bit more magenta. It's a little bit warmer, a bit more of a kind of hot pink going on there.
Yeah, it's
And
got more hot pink. Yeah.
I painted him with contrasts instead of the inks that I used on the rest of the army. The ink,
Okay.
I love the color of the um, Dalaran Rowney Purple Lake, but it is difficult to work with. I wanted something a bit easier. I wanted to make some tutorials for him as well so that other people can try this color scheme out as well. And I always feel bad when I tell people that you need to use these really, really difficult inks to get the color
Mm,
scheme right. So I painted this guy using Games Workshop contrasts with an intensity color in the shadows. So this color scheme is a lot more approachable for people who want to try it. And I've taken all the images. I just need to do the write-up for a tutorial for this guy. So he'll be coming out on
Very
the
exciting.
Patreon as well. You can look forward to that. And yeah, it's much easier to do. So I'll enjoy it more across the force. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to get to replicate as well. So it'll probably be a little bit more consistent than using the inks. And another thing I did differently with this guy compared to the other Emperor's Children I've painted is I added a lot more weathering than I usually would. And
Yeah.
I did a combination of like the chipping technique, the hairspray technique, and then painted on weathering. Whereas previously, like if I used weathering, I would have just done some simple hairspray chipping. So I've definitely kind of turned up the chipping a lot on this guy, and also adding like a lot more kind of oil streaks and oil washes to this model than I did on my regular Emperor's Children, because I wanted to show that, you know, they've been fighting on Isfahan 3 for 3 months, constant battle, constant warfare. You know, it's an absolutely insane. You know, we don't really think about it too much because it's kind of one of the smaller conflicts. You know, it's not as large as Isfahan 5, and it's not as large as the Siege of Terror. But, you know, maybe Beta Garmin. But apart from that, it's just about the largest Legion war that there is in the Heresy. So it is a serious, serious conflict. And, you know, even though the novels make it seem like it goes for about 3 days, it actually went for 3 months. So these guys will be fully battered, probably even more heavily damaged than he is. But yeah, you know, can't really see it in these images. Might be visible in the previous one. Here we go. But yeah, I've added a lot of soot to the lower legs.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
I want some really kind of, you know, charred, dead city on the ground. Like it's ash from the firestorm following the virus bombing. So yeah, really, really, really pleased with how this guy turned out. I've done like a Rylanor before, but this guy is definitely took it to another level. So super, super pleased with him. I also did something a little bit different with the Aquila on the front there. Did kind of like an ivory inlay with the gold outline. I've always had that in mind since I saw this model because of the way it's sculpted. The kind of outline around the Aquila is kind of, you know, it's raised. So it does look like, you know, you could potentially do a lining. It was pretty difficult to paint, to be honest, to, you know, keep it neat and also have it pop a little bit, and just to create that contrast between the metallic and the you know, the ivory, because it is, you know, such fine detail. And even looking at it now, I can see on the left hand wing of the Aquila there, it's not quite perfect, but on the tabletop it'll look really, really nice. So
It's
super,
like one of
really
those
super, super
mistakes
chuffed
that
with this
only
guy.
you will know about.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Or on
and
these
it's just
massive
like
blown
those
up
little things
images.
that, like, yeah, it's like, oh man, that part
Yeah.
just pisses me off. Yeah, but only you know
Mm,
about it.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
he looks
I think
terrific. Yeah, good job.
the thing I'm happiest with on this model though is the freehand on the scroll. I was really, really happy with that, because if you're going to paint a Rylanor, you got to have Roma and Thule on there, because that's, you know, pretty much the only other description we have of him apart from his war
Yeah,
gear. So super, super chuffed with that.
yeah. That looks sick. So that's it for now. Until next time.
Yeah, I need to start working on some more guys, and maybe we'll have a chat about that when we talk about the Mk4. But yeah, this
Ooh,
project
yeah.
is underway, and I'm not sure if I'll be building more models next, or if I'm going to try and base the 2 dreadnoughts that I have done, just so that I have complete models, and so that I can, you know, I like to have a complete model before I move on and start painting an army in general, just so I know how it's going to look, how
It's
I have, you know,
the
the
vibe
overall
check.
kind of effect. The vibe check,
It's
exactly right.
it's a vibe check. Yeah.
I don't like to do like a whole army and then base the whole army. I like to kind of base as I go, just so I know what's going on, and so, you know, it feels more complete in a way. So that's where I am
Mm.
with this project, and I'm looking forward to it. It feels good to be heresying again after a while. You know, I've been putting a lot of time into the High Elves over the last couple of years,
Yeah, you've
so it
been
feels,
lost, wandering around in a different realm.
in the old
And
world.
now,
So
yes, yes, you come
I've returned
crawling back
home.
to Heresy. Yes,
I've
welcome
returned home.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, my son. Welcome back. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting
Cheers,
stuff.
bro.
I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it in the future. Now, Kiza,
Absolutely. Yep.
big news.
Mm.
Big news from G Dubs last week when they had their big reveal show. We had a preview of some Custodies stuff. So that's a plastic Telemann Dread, plastic, what is it, the Gear Falcon jet bikes as well. However, even before the review, we had the huge drop of the new Mk4 plastics coming out.
Yeah.
Now, let me see if I can bring up this tab here.
The much anticipated Mark IV as well. I've been waiting for it for a long time. It's probably the mark that I've been like. I really want to see a Mark V as well, but Mark IV is, especially for the legions that I work on primarily, it is the number one kind of mark. It is the Emperor's Children mark, and it is the Sons of Horus mark as well. So I was really looking forward to this one. Well, I was anticipating it because I've also kind of dreading it in a way.
I bet you weren't anticipating them with six fingers, were you?
No, I wasn't. I don't know. Maybe that's maybe that's a scouring era Emperor's Children force with too many digits going on. But
It's gene
yeah,
seed.
definitely wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that just
gene
yet.
seed. It's a gene seed defect. Extra digits. All
Can
right,
never
but
have
here
too
we
many
go.
digits, as an EC. Yeah.
Here they are. Here they are. I'm sure you guys. I'm sure you guys can see that just fine. All right, give us your initial reaction, Kiz. What do you think? I know you're not a huge fan of the new plastic redesign,
Yeah.
so is this good news or bad news bears? Like, what's going on here? Give us your thoughts.
So I haven't really liked the aesthetic of any of the new redesigns for the plastic kits. I think they're all kind of a step backwards. I think like scale wise, posing wise, they're all massive improvements, obviously, but just the overall kind of design aesthetic, I think, has been a bit of a back step. Particularly, I think with the Mark 6 and the Mark 3, particularly. The Mark 2 was a little bit of an improvement. I thought it was, it was decent. I still kind of miss the old Mark 2. I know you prefer the new one, and a lot of people do. But I think with the
Mm.
Mark 4, it's probably the truest to the old, the old aesthetic. So in that regards,
The resin models you're talking about?
well, the resin models and the calth models, the plastic calth models,
Yeah.
and just the way it's portrayed in the color plates, for example, even in the even the latest third edition rule book, it still has, the third edition stuff looks different to this. Like, this is different again. So I'm not like super in love with it, but they haven't completely kind of ruined it for me. So it's a pass for me, and I'll be getting some to use, but it's not something I'm massively excited about. What about you, bro?
Um, I'm probably gonna like, yeah, like they don't excite me.
Yeah.
I love Mark IV. Am I gonna
Yeah.
go? Am I gonna be in a rush to go out and get these guys? No. I think for me, it's probably a 6 out of 10. And a
Hmm.
7 out of 10 is probably what I need to go out and buy it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually quite happy with how the legs look.
Yeah.
I think they're fine. I know we were a little bit worried early days, Kieran, about having, the lower leg flare on the new
Flare.
Mark 6, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We were anticipating those flares to be across all the marks, including Mark 4, and yeah, we used to say, "Oh man, this is going to look absolute garbage on Mark 4," but it's good to know that they've kept like a straighter leg design for
Yeah.
these, which is good.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people are saying that the pauldrons are, like are a lot bigger. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're the same size pauldrons as you'll find on other marks. I think it's more like the skinny trim on there that probably makes the pauldron um, feel a lot larger than what it is because you've got again more canvas space to work on. For me, the biggest issue it's the new helmets, and some some people didn't pick up on it right away, but I don't like the thin mohawk that they've got,
Hmm.
and it's not the mohawk that's the issue; it's what the mohawk does to the rest of the head. So
Hmm.
by reducing the mohawk space, you're actually enlarging sort of like the cranium part of the helmet,
Hmm.
and it kind of makes him look like a bit of a egghead or something. Like it makes the dome seem huge, like a big bowl, upside down bowl or something. Does
Mm.
that make sense? Do you kind of get that vibe?
I hear what you're saying. It's not something that kind of really kind of jumps out to me. It's not an issue I have with it really. Um, I, when you mentioned the legs not being curved at the bottom, flared out, I was like, oh, maybe that's why I don't mind these models because
Mhm.
subconsciously, like, I didn't even consider that, and that's definitely an improvement. I think my expectations were very low, and these
Mm.
guys have exceeded those low expectations. So I think that's probably why they get boosted up a little bit in my estimates,
What do you
perhaps
think
higher than they
about
deserve.
what do you think about the stick-on van braces for them? Because they're essentially uh, regular, just call it, I don't know, Mark
Mark
6
six with
style. You
yeah,
know how they've got like that more
yeah,
like the bracelet sort of thing around their wrist,
yeah.
and then you stick that Mark 4 van bracelet on. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't like it, but it's not like a deal breaker. I don't think
Okay.
it looks good, but it's not like, it takes away from what Mark 4 is supposed to be, like the most advanced Mark at the time, sleek, well designed. There's not many gaps in it. There aren't many kind of joins or seams, and that kind of takes away from it. Like, obviously it's a bit different with the reinforced armor that we saw with like destroyers and assault marines, but for the regular tactical marines, having those extra plates on the arm is a little bit of a distraction, I think, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. And with the shoulder plates, I find that I can see what people are saying. I find that often the way the models are designed or the way that the studio builds them makes them look worse than they are. Nearly
Yeah, you're right.
always I nearly always like position my shoulder plates differently to how they, do it in the
Me
box
too.
art.
Yeah,
Usually
me
I'm
too.
removing a bit off the shoulder so I can sit a bit lower and a bit closer into the head, or I'm lowering the arms slightly so that it can sit in a little snugger. But I
It
think
also
that's just
depends on the pose of what they're doing, right? Because
exactly right.
animatronically, like if you're looking over your shoulder, naturally that shoulder will drop. And
Yeah.
to have it
Yeah.
sit so high in some instances
Hmm.
or whatever, just as an
Yeah.
example,
Like these shoulder plates
yeah,
have just been
is a dead
stuck
giveaway for
straight
bad
on.
posing. Mm.
They've just been stuck straight on. They haven't been built well. And
Like a bad boob job. That's just stuck straight
yeah,
on the front. That's it.
bolt-ons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's I think, yeah, I'm confident that, people will be able to do a better job when they get them in their hands. And, these things always do look better in person. So, my low expectations have been exceeded, but
Mm.
I'm still not like, jumping for joy. But I'll be definitely getting these. Like, um, I'll be using these for the Isfahan project. There'll be a lot of Mark 4 in that project between the Emperor's Children and the Sons of Horus. I'll probably be using Mark 2 for the World Eaters. Um, that was one of the kind of issues I had with deciding how to kind of represent those models in the on the tabletop, because the designs for the new armor marks, less so with the Mark 4, like as I've been saying, it's kind of fairly similar to the traditional design, but with the Mark 2 that I want to use in that force, it is quite different to the color plates. So how closely am I really matching the color plates if I'm using the new Mark II?
Yeah,
It
good point.
is technically the same mark, but aesthetically it looks quite different to how it's represented in the black books. So
Mm,
that's the question that I've had to kind of wrestle with and ask myself. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to deal with it, but I think I will use the new plastic Mark II for those models, and I'll perhaps try and do a few things to make them look a little bit truer to how they used to be. For example, using maybe some of the old resin heads. Um, the new plastic heads in these kits are smaller than the old plastic heads, but the old resin heads again are very small, so they
yeah.
should fit onto these plastic models quite well. So that's an option for me. I do have some old resin Mark II bits in my bits box that I can have a play around with. And then, of course, like the other thing is with these Mark IV, the way that they gave them, Mark VI jump packs, I'll definitely be using, resin Mark IV jump packs that I have in my bits box as well to give them that kind of proper aesthetic for, I think there's 2 Emperor's Children characters I have that'll be in Mark IV um, with jump packs. So yeah, as you can see on the screen
Mm,
now, yeah, you brought those up.
yeah, let's talk about the assault squads for a second because
Yeah,
it got picked up straight away. What
yeah,
what is the Mark 6 jump pack doing on that body? The
yeah,
Mark 4 jump pack is probably the most iconic, and it's the
yeah,
one everyone loves the most. Why not
yeah,
just make your
yeah.
extra sprue, put it in the box, and sell a shitload more?
It's just lazy. Yeah, I think that's all it is. It's just lazy. It's like we've already got this
Phoned in.
design,
Yeah.
put it in there. Yeah, I'm not sure, and I think it's a bit of a strange one with the Mark II assault marines. I preferred the Mark II assault marines to the Mark II infantry, like tactical marines. But I definitely think I prefer the Mark IV tacticals to the Mark IV assault. Um,
Yep, agree.
I'm not a fan of the torsos the way they've done them compared to
They look too brutalist for Mark 4, like that sort of
yeah, and
style of
just
gorgeous.
the exposed cabling, like the whole point of like the up armored
Yeah.
torsos on the Mark IV assault marines was to protect that cabling and cover it up, because these are frontal assault units. They're going to have their front facing the enemy. They're going to be taking a lot of small arms incoming fire. Um, and that's the whole reason why the assault marines and the destroyers had that additional plate over the chest, was to give them that extra reinforcement, but also to protect those delicate cabling and piping. So it's a bit of a weird look. The gorgets aren't great either, but I think for these, for assault marines, I'll probably just use standard Mark IV. And to be honest, with the Emperor's Children, I'll be scraping all of that piping off anyway to add aquillas to the chest. So it's not something I have to worry about.
What's happening up here with these 2 poses? They've done 2 of the same or 2 very, very similar, and they're kinda like
They have
nothing
like
to
the legs are different, but
what
the
is that?
poses are similar. They're not, it's not the same, but it's just
Mm,
they haven't been built well, like the way the tactical
yeah.
squads weren't built well. Like if you have a look at that, like if you scroll back to that previous one, and you have a look at the head of the guy on the left as we look at it, it's
Mm.
he's tilted down at a strange
What's he
angle
doing?
like that. I don't know what he's doing. Like he's seen something on his elbow or like on his shoe, and he's trying to see what's going on. He stepped in something, but it's a bit of
Well,
a weird one.
I have to say, like, and then Warcom showed this article as well, just showing how you can sort of, mix and match,
Yeah,
the Mark IV, which
yeah,
everyone sort of knows how to do anyway, unless you're brand new to Heresy.
yeah,
To me, like, without the paint job, the body seems a lot better, like, a lot better, but their heads seem worse again. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I just there's just a lot of blank space on the forehead and on the sort of crown,
yeah. Well, a lot of them used to
going
have
around to
like
the temple
like
area, right?
a skull on the forehead as well, which
Just to
helped to
fill a
fill
little
that
bit of
space.
that space, yeah.
And the other thing that everyone has commented on is that there are no like bonding studs, like reinforced bonding studs on the Mark IV armor, which is a really
Mm,
classic kind of aspect of the Mark IV. Um, and that's missing, which is a real shame because that is like a classic heresy vibe from like way back in the day, especially with the Emperor's Children. Like they're absolutely covered in those things. So I'll definitely be adding those back in with either green stuff or small little ball bearings to my models, because I think that's just something that has to be on there. And to be honest, I did that already with my Tortuga army back in the
Yeah.
day. I was adding those in, like, bloody hell, that took me so long. Anyway, it'll be worth it for this Is Farm project, because there just simply won't be that many models. I'm happy to put in that extra little bit of work to make them look really, really nice. But it's a shame that they're missing. And I understand that it's probably a molding thing. Like, they don't want to kind of have a repeat of those Mark 6 shoulder plates that were split in half because of the bonding studs. And they were an absolute, schmozzle, an absolute pain in the ass. So I'm guessing that's why they didn't do them. But it's a definite kind of element of the aesthetic that's missing now, for sure.
Yeah, one thing that was mentioned as well was the fact that for the first time in probably a long time, but the first time ever in Heresy, you're getting a mix and match of left and right-handed weapons as well, or weapon arms.
Yeah, yeah,
So now people are automatically casting their mind to, okay, I can have gunslinging pistols, dual wielding. That opens up like modeling options for things like the spoilers and assault despoilers.
yeah,
So that's only great for the game, because you're adding depth that way,
mhm,
right? Through
yeah,
through through your model kits. And it's always so frustrating when you've got a conversion, you're working on it, you're nearly there with all the parts, and you're just rummaging and rummaging through all of your bits, trying to find like that right-handed bolt pistol or that left-handed
yeah,
chainsword or whatever,
yeah,
and you end up just finding 5 of the other arm. Like, everyone's been there before, so
yeah,
to, uh to enable more conversion work like that, to open up units like destroyers, from a modeling perspective, is great. So I really can't knock the squad for that. Again, like
great call.
converting it with the rapier team, for example, that looks so much better than those weird knee pad marines that come with the rapier crew.
Yeah.
That just looks so much more fitting, and so
It
much
does.
more
It really
so
does.
much more aligned with the heresy that we know,
Yeah.
and that's been established up to this
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, look, I'm not saying they're a write-off. They're a 6 out of 10. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? What's your
Hmm.
rating of the Mark 4 out of 10? Like, maybe I'm being a little bit too critical. They're relatively inoffensive, right? And I'm sure with a little bit of special modeling tricks here and there, or maybe you can choose to head swap or use an upgrade sprue on them, it could bring that 6 up to an 8 or an 8.5, right?
Yeah. I think if I'm not like kicking up too much of a fuss, I think they can't be that bad, really, can they? Like, my
Yeah,
favorite pastime is hating on the new designs. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some. I reckon I can make them look cool. There'll be some nice Sons of Horus and Emperor's Children on his Farm 3 in the final days. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some of those. And yeah, great call to point out the alternate handed weapons. I think that's a really nice touch for conversions. It's really, really useful.
very good. All right, Kiza, anything else to add before we wrap up the show?
Nah, bro, that's I've really enjoyed tonight. It's been a good one.
Yes, it's been
Pumped
a
up
good
for the
catch up.
Heresy again. Yeah,
I know. I've been just spending a lot of time thinking about hobby in general. And
yeah,
like I said before, I've got so many ideas and things coming to me. There's not time for all of them. So I'm going to have
yeah,
to just carefully plan some things out and slowly start maybe procuring some items for projects starting next year too,
yeah,
in the background. But yeah,
yeah.
we've got a heresy event coming up
I was just
next
about to
month,
mention that.
at the end of next month. Yes.
Yeah,
And would you believe it or not, it is the very first, yes, that's right, first third edition Heresy event, which is ridiculous. It feels ridiculous to say,
that
but
we've been to. Yeah, I think there might have been some run somewhere that we haven't heard about, but it's the first big one for sure.
first big one in Melbourne,
Yeah,
yeah, it feels crazy to say at this point in the new edition, but it just goes to show maybe how much of a change the local communities just experienced with the edition drop.
yeah,
A change
yeah,
of personnel in the hobby. Maybe the old personnel have a change of lifestyle now. I don't know if the fact that there's been a little bit of an event drought in Melbourne is due to the fact that maybe the people who've been around for so long are changing, or their lives are different now. Maybe it's got to do with the actual edition itself, or perhaps the way it was rolled out.
hmm
Maybe it could be a multitude of factors. Maybe people are actually keen for third and working on new models as we speak,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because you know how it is, like that lag, that edition change. You have that lag time where your army from last edition doesn't work in the new edition for whatever
yeah,
reason it may be. A lot of the time,
yeah,
things don't translate perfectly, right? So
yeah.
maybe people are just borrowed away working on their new projects or whatever. But it is going to be exciting. I'm going to be painting a couple new things for the salamanders as well,
Very cool.
which is good. So yeah, there'll be more news to come shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll just say, like, if anyone's interested in coming to the event, it's in Melbourne, obviously. It's being held at the Flemington and Kensington Bowls Club. It's on the 29th of August. The event is called The Raising of Kesos. You'll be able to find that on Facebook. Kesos is Khesos. It's a doubles event, 1,000 points each. It's a single day event. Armies need to be fully painted, of course, but I think there are a few tickets still remaining. And if you don't have a partner to play with, get in touch with Darcy and he'll put you in contact with someone. He's created a list of people looking for partners. So if you
It's
need someone
dudes
to
looking
play
for
with,
dudes.
it's dudes looking for dudes. If you
That's
need
it.
someone to play with, he'll hook you up and we'll see you there. We'll both be there. We're looking forward to it. It'll be a really good one. So, yeah, check it out on Facebook, The Raising of Kesos. 29th of August should be a whole bunch of fun. So, yeah, definitely check that one out.
And Kieran, just before we wrap up, we should mention our Patreon page. Now,
Yep.
if you guys like what we do, if you guys would like to support us and the channel, we'd love for you to head over there. Not only do we show whips of what we're working on, there's access to high resolution photos of all our models too. And I mean, like, almost from every angle as well.
Yeah.
People
You wouldn't
people
believe
been
how much
responding
kind
to
of,
them really
yeah, how
well.
much resolution is lost on Instagram and other kind of image sharing
Yeah,
accounts.
it's
So, yeah, if
crazy.
you want to see like the actual proper stuff, fully blown up, full scale, check them out on the Patreon, and those ones are free as well. So yeah, definitely get in there and have a look at the galleries.
And in the last couple of weeks too, we've had a few tutorials drop. So the Dark
Mm,
Elf tutorial dropped. We had your amazing Imperial Fists tutorial drop in there. We've
yep.
also had, just the other day, the how to paint metallic purple armor for Traders Empress Children,
hmm
which looks mega as well. Super unique scheme.
Yeah,
Um,
one of my favorites.
and just to give you a guys a little bit of a taste of what the tutorial looks like. I can
hmm
quickly do a scroll through and and show you right here. So it's a full comprehensive step-by-step guide. We show all the steps in there, super high resolution photos. It's laid out in a nice clear way. It's easy to follow. And at the end, there's a super cool gallery, shows off all the stuff and all the techniques. And not only that, but you get little insights on how we approach these models as well, what our
Mhm.
philosophies are behind choosing certain colors and whatnot. So we've had really great response to our tutorials thus far. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you'd like to know more about that stuff, or if even if you just like to sling us a few dollars or whatever it is, we greatly appreciate all of you. So thank you very
And I
much.
think we've got like 16 tutorials up there now, so we've got quite a
Yeah.
gallery to check out. So I'm sure whatever army, whichever faction you're painting, there'll be something useful there for you. So yeah, check it out.
And
And
like
if
the
you
skills are
enjoy this video,
transposable, right? To other
yep,
hobby
yeah,
projects too.
yep,
It's not like
yep,
they're not just tutorials just for a space marine. Like that color scheme
mhm,
is transposable on anything you want to paint, really.
yep, yeah. And then of course there are like fully transferable tutorials, such as how I paint like blades, for example, and it's the same way
Mm,
I paint a space marine sword to how I paint the spears for my high elves. It's the same technique. You can add slight variations if you like, but it's the same technique that I use across all of my projects. So there's a lot of stuff there that can be used for a lot of different projects.
perfect. All right. With that, we'll love you and leave you. I've got shitloads of hobby to do. I don't know about you, Kieran, but I'm going.
Mate, I need to get to sleep and so I can get up and watch the Socceroos in the morning. Yeah.
Go get some rest. Have coffee in the
Yeah.
morning.
Cool, mate.
All right, everyone. See ya.
Cheers.
For Heresy.